In this video, we are going to, if possible, try to complete the whole build. If the video is going to be too large, maybe we can divide into two sections. So we have created the bean stack. So we already completed the code commit, if you remember. And then there is a code build that we need to complete. And we want to manage the whole thing using a code pipeline. So let us go to the code pipeline. So here you can see there is a code pipeline. So we will start from there. Create pipeline. And then what exactly is the name of the pipeline you want to give? So I will give to do pipeline. And then we will specify if there is any specific you want to use an existing role, because we need to give some role to the pipeline, because we haven't talked a lot about IAM, identity and access management. For every functionality that we need to use, there has to be some corresponding role associated with that. So if I go to IAM, so if a particular user needs to do something in with any of the resources, I mean creating a resource or whatever, these users needs to have some roles associated, not roles and permissions associated. So here what exactly you can see here in the for this particular user, there is a lot of permissions associated, and uh, this has a lot of roles also associated. So why I am going to all these things is because when we create a pipeline, we want to specify whether we are going to use an existing role or we want to create a new role, because pipeline is going to do something internally. So for accessing any resources existing out there, they need to have a particular role associated with it. And you can see here in the um, where exactly was the role. Oh yeah, here you can see a lot of roles are already associated with it. So once you start creating, you will see a lot of policies, and these are some of the policies that is being used internally. And even Beanstack will create some policies of their own. We will come to see all these things appearing here later. But why I'm telling here is that of course we don't need to know, but here we are telling whether the pipeline service needs to create a new service role for its functionality to work properly. So here I'm specifying the new service role, and we were telling whether allow this code pipeline to create a service role so it can be used with this new pipeline. Yes, you can specify a role of your own here. Any name will do. I will go with the default. And then let me click on the advanced, and you can see the artifact store. As I told you, this pipeline will also create a S3 bucket for its internal functionality. So I will go with the default. If you have an existing S3 bucket you have created of your own, you can choose the custom location too, and then it will use that particular S3 bucket. That is all. But for the time being, let us keep everything simple so that we need to make this work. So let us use the capability of the AWS itself to get the job done. So what we have done, given a name to the pipeline. We want the pipeline to create a service role automatically. We will see the service role available somewhere here in the role, in the roles, or in the policies somewhere. We will see that later. Let us click on next. Yeah. So the next is where exactly is your artifact or your code. Definitely, we know where exactly we had committed. You can definitely use, if suppose you have put your source code into S3 or whether into Bitbucket or GitHub, you can. So if you specify GitHub, you need to give access to the I have done it, but let us keep our discussion simple. So we already know that we have already committed the code to the code commit itself, which makes our life a little bit easier. Or else we need to specify the credentials and give access to AWS to communicate with the GitHub and all. I mean, easy to do, but let us go with the code commit. Let us try to use the maximum functionality available with AWS itself. And if you remember what exactly was the repository name that we gave for our thing, to do, and the branch I think was master or main, whatever it is coming. So master is there. So we have specified from where should I get the source code from. That's what we have just specified here. And then how do we detect the changes that is happening in the code? Here, the specifying the Amazon CloudWatch to automatically start my pipeline. So whenever we are going to commit a code change into the repository, Amazon is asking, what should you do? You have two options. You can use CloudWatch to which is recommended, or use the cloud pipeline to check it periodically. So let us use the cloud pipeline to get our job done. Okay, and then output artifact format, choose the output artifact format, uses the default zip format. We will be changing it a little bit, but for the time being we are okay with whatever is given as the default. So this is where we specify where exactly the source resides, and how exactly is Amazon going to detect any changes or any commit to that particular code. We have configured it. Let us go to next. Here is the build stage. So then we have just specified the source code and how we are going to build it. So here also you have two options. Either you need to use a Jenkins for building, then for that case, then you need to have an EC2 instance provisioned automatically by the Elastic Beanstalk, or you can use the facility of the code build. So see here, we are going to use code commit is over. We are configuring code pipeline as of now. We have already configured Elastic Bean, and now we are going to use code build. So here, instead of Jenkins, because I haven't configured any Jenkins anyway, so I will go with code build. So it is a little bit involved. What exactly? So where exactly is the region? Because I am in North Virginia, I will use the for building. Are you specific that you should build your code in a particular region? You can specify any region here. I am okay with the default region, and then the project name. So here I haven't created the project for the build. So let me click on the create project, which will open up a new window. So it is telling create a new code build project and return to the code pipeline to finish your configuration. So as always, let me give to do build. So I will use the to do build here. If you want to give a restriction description, you are fine to do that. Enable concurrent build. So it can concurrently have, many threads can start the build at the same time. So I will restrict, which is optional, restrict the number of concurrent builds. I will keep everything simple here. If you want to give any tags, you can do that. And then how exactly you are going to manage the image? So behind the scenes, the build is going to be created by this code build tool, and they are asking how exactly we are going to manage. Are we going to specify a custom Docker image? Because we haven't gone into the Docker image, or we don't know the Docker yet, I will go with the manage the image, whatever it is available with the code build. Next, I will specify the operating system where the build is going to happen. Because we are going to deploy this application ultimately into an Amazon Linux 2, not Ubuntu or the Windows server, I will specify the Amazon Linux 2. And then what exactly is the runtime? I will specify the standard runtime, whatever it is available. And then the image. I mean, these are all standard images. I mean, these are all maybe most probably Docker images that will be used to build our application. I mean, build means what? Take our source code and build a jar file out of it. So the Amazon will be using a behind the scenes a Docker images. The programming languages runtimes are now included in the standard image which recommended as the new project. So that's what, see, Docker image provided by code build. So if you want to see what are the different Docker images provided for building our code, you can go and see the document here. I went through it and I recognize that it is best to use the code build capabilities itself instead of going for a custom image where we need to have a lot of configurations done. So let us keep it very simple. And because this is the latest standard 1, 2, 3 is the latest Docker image build available with Amazon, I am happy with that. And then, of course, we are going to use what is the environment. Linux is the environment. We don't have any graphical processing to be done, so we are happy with the Linux. And then here also it specifies for this build to work. If you remember in the previous step for the code pipeline too, they wanted to create a service role for the for the pipeline to work properly. Here also they are asking for, yeah, do you have an existing role to get this job done? The job is to build. So no, we don't have any particular role specified. So please go ahead and create a service role yourself. You can give a name of your liking, but I will go with the default. Then any additional settings like, for example, do you need to give a timeout? For example, something happens in your build and you want to get out of that particular build for how many time. So you can specify. So this is 1 hour. So maybe I don't want 1 hour, maybe maximum of 30 minutes is okay with me. Even 30 minutes is also not good for us, but let us change it a little bit. And then what exactly is the default time in the build queue? So how much time it should spend? I mean, these are all some default things you can change based on the application need. And then goes to the certificate. Of course, we don't need any certificate because we are not using a HTTPS right now. And then we are not using any particular VPC also. So let the VPC be default. If you have a VPC, you can use the VPC. So I'm happy with the default. And the minimal available for creating the build, 3 GB with the 2 CPUs is enough. I don't have any environment variables as of now. Of course, going forward, we will be using a lot of environment variables, which is how we configure Docker environments anyway. And the most important thing here is to use a build spec file. So here you can see that for the build tool or the code build to work properly, it will look for a YAML file. So either you need to have this YAML spec. So the name of the file will be buildspec.yaml here. Either it should be available along with your source code in the repository. Okay, that means if you go to the Spring application in the inside this to do, inside this is the root, inside this to do, we need to have a build spec.yaml file. But I haven't done it or created it. So what I'm going to do, I will ask the build spec not to use the YAML file but insert a build for me. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to create, maybe switch to the editor, and you can see that some fire some versions are coming here. Can I switch to single line? Yeah. So I'm going to use what is known as, what we exactly we need to build. We are going to use Maven and then package. And then let me see, I should be able to see switch to editor. What happens? Maven package. So here, oh, so this is a build thing. There is a little more thing we need to understand in the build phase, but I don't need any of the stuff. So let me env. So let me delete all these things because we are not going to use any environment variable. I need a phase here. So in the phase, I will use, I don't need any of these. So I will be very careful in what I am doing here. So here you can see in the build phase, I want this particular command to execute. And then, I mean, you can do a lot of things here. I mean, if you're going to use Jenkins and all the stuff. So first I'm going to give here, I'm going to give an echo So so that I know what is happening behind the scene. So I will give build to do started on, then I will give a tick. We will specify when this particular date you need the backslash, I mean the tick that is available above the tab. So then I will specify this build of to do started on this particular date, and then I will start with the maven, and then I will use a move command. I want once the package has been done. So what where exactly the package will happen? The package will be in our target folder. Remember, so I will have my build in the target, and the package will be in the form of 1.0.jar, because I tested it out in here. When I went into the target, I specified, yeah, this is the build that I'm going to get. So to do hyphen 1.0.jar, and that's what I'm specifying here. So if you make any mistake here, data bye bye, it will never work. So what I'm trying to do here, I want to move it to the root. So I will just specify to do 1.0.jar. So when I type, I'm very specific about what I am typing. So this is a build used internally by the cloud build. It will execute this takes whatever, so it will echo it, and then we'll use the maven command to package our application. And this package, you can definitely use a clean package, maybe d, you don't want to if you want to skip the test, then you can give d skip tests. But definitely we will never skip the test, because as at least we are assuming that this is going to be production, so we want all the tests to be succeeded, then only we need to create the package, or this build will definitely fail. And the last thing here is that we need to specify. So is there anything else? So let me just delete up to here. I need the artifact. So what exactly is the artifact and the file? And I will specify the location also. And so the location will be my, I mean, it will be the to do 1.0.jar. One more thing I will specify here called .eb extensions, and then I will specify whatever extensions. Again, these may be kind of new here. So if you want to see what is .eb extensions, so you can see that the EV extensions, the Amazon environment customization. For example, if you want to create a load balancer, I mean, documentation is very elaborate and all the stuff. So here you can see, so you can add Elastic Beanstalk configuration files to your web applications source code to configure your environment. For example, if you want to have a specific load balancing, again, you can go ahead and read all the stuff. The whole thing, whatever you need with the Beanstalk is available here. So I am going to keep everything simple. So this means that do whatever extensions that is required for my application to work. So this is the build that I have specified. I'm telling go Maven, package my application, and once the package is complete, it will be available in the to do 1.jar. I want to move using the mv command. This is the Linux move command. I want to move that particular to do to the root, wherever. We will come to know these things a little bit clearly when we talk about Docker. Okay, so we are moving into the root location, and what exactly is the artifact that should be put into S3 and deployed, we are specifying to do 1.jar is the artifact, and you can use any extensions that is available. This is one of the main thing about it took me some time to understand how to use the build spec. This build spec is really big. If you go to the thing, you can see there's a lot of things you can do with this particular build file, but build spec. But we are keeping everything simple, and then we are good to go. I don't want any cloud watch or anything like that, because I don't want to spend a lot of money here. So this is about building the project, little bit involved. So given the project name, I'm not giving any additional key. I want AWS to manage the code build automatically in the operating system called Amazon Linux, which is the standard type, and the Docker image that the build tool is going to use is specifying. We are going with the latest version, and then we are creating, asking the code build to create a new role so that he can get the job done. And of course, 30 minutes is the time for the build, the maximum time. If it is out of that, then just exit out of it. We are not specifying any certificates for our to go to the S3. We are not even specifying the VPC. It can use whichever environment, whichever VPC to get the build job done. And the important thing is the build spec. Most probably, you will be using a build spec along with your project to get the job done, where you can upload it, you can commit this build file, then you can use the build spec file available with the code. Here, because I haven't uploaded this file, I'm using it and coding it on my own, and the latest version is point 2. And the command here is the to build my using the package command. Once it is done, move it to the location, and this is the artifact that should be generated. We have our job done. So if everything goes well, I will go to the code pipeline and see whether the corresponding image appears. So this window should automatically close. Thank you. Then successfully created the build, and then we are good to go. Build a single file. So we have completed. So the source stage is complete, the build stage is complete, and next is the deploy stage. So let us go to the next deploy stage. Again, going back to the PPT, what are we going? We complete. So we started with the pipeline. We specified the where exactly is the code commit or the code repository located. We used the code build for to specify the build server and how the build should be done, and then we are going to deploy it. So you can use either Elastic Beanstalk, or sorry, or we can use the deploy. So there are many options here. See, many options. Like if you want to use the S3 or the cloud formation code deploy, this is, you can use a code deploy, get your job done. But we have already specified code deploy is a little bit involved, and let us make it simple. We already have an Elastic Beanstalk to get our job done. So let it deploy our so what exactly is the name? So when we use the Elastic Beanstalk, the to do Beanstalk is coming, because that's what the name we gave for the application. And then we don't have any particular environment, so we have created, so it was created by Beanstalk automatically. The previous one was the previous one, so let me check it out. And then, okay, nothing much, we are specifying Elastic Beanstalk for deploying our application. Next. So we have completed our pipeline without any difficulty. So you can see the pipeline settings, the name of the pipeline, from where exactly the source will be provided, and then what is the build stage is going to do, and the name of the build, and who is going to deploy our application. So assuming that everything will work fine, let us create the pipeline. So once we create this pipeline, the build will happen automatically behind the scenes. Success. The pipeline to do has been created. So it has in the run. So probably it will run, or we will give a release a change to make this run. So we are giving a command to get this thing run. So yeah, it has automatically started. You can see the success is coming. That means it was able to get the code from the code commit. It has succeeded. The second thing here, you can see the build is actually running. So let us wait for the build to happen. So I'm not pausing the video. Let us see how much time it will take. Don't know. Let us wait anyway. Maybe the video size will get a get a little bit bigger. Let us wait for the code build to happen. It is still building. Let us see what happens. It got succeeded. So the build also was successful. And the last thing is, you can see it is a deploy part that is happening. So let us wait for the deploy also to complete. Hopefully it won't take much time. Still, I think it's more than 30 seconds for sure. 1 minute ago, it is still in progress. Of course, if you can click on this, you can see what is happening. And if you click on the no here, you can see what is happening behind the scenes. But I don't want to move away from this video. So once this thing done, then we can definitely go to this is the build or what has happened here. If you can go to the details here. We will go to the details later. So my hope is that it will get deployed to Elastic Beanstalk without any trouble. So let us wait for that to happen. And you can see it succeeded. That means we were able to build a pipeline, and it has now is available in this particular instance. That means this particular instance that is running. So, how are we going to communicate with it? Definitely, we will use the public IP address. So, let us open up Postman because that's what we require to communicate. So, let us use the Postman, waiting for Postman to come up. So, the Postman has come up. So, what we need to do, if you remember the to do, if you have completed to do, we know that of course we need to authenticate first, and we need to give a post to this authenticate. We need to get the JWT token, then only we will be able to communicate with the endpoint. So first, uh, maybe I can use an existing post here, but before that we need to get the IP address. So let me copy the IP address, and if you remember, this is available in port 80, not 8080, port 80. So let us copy it here, and then authenticate is the hopefully that is the end point. Authenticate is the end point where you should give the username and password. So let us go to the body section, remove it. So let me go to the to do, because I forgot the what is a user, or so it is username and password. So let us give, so let me give both the username and password. So I have specified, is there any authorization? As of now, no authorization, because we are just trying to authenticate with a body. Let me beautify it a little bit. So the username, password, admin. So I think the password is also admin. So then it should hit 52. And if everything goes well, if the application has deployed successfully, we should be able to see the token here. So let us go ahead and hit it. because this is the first request. No, it's a for 500 bad gateway. So what happened? Let me check it out. What exactly is this bad gateway? Most probably, I forgot to commit the 8080 change. So let me check whether the security, that can be the only reason. So let me change the security group and edit the inbound rule, add a custom http for 8080 and anywhere, save it, go back to EC2 and then find out refresh it. Security 8080 is applied. 8080 body, send it across. Oh, thank God. So now we got the JWT. So I think my change 8080, I think I copied the old one, old application.yaml file. So now with the JWT, let us see which one the API to do will do with an authentication of bearer token. So if everything goes well, we should be able to get the to-dos available there. Oh, oh, this is not a local host. What exactly is the IP address? Public IP address 52. Copy it, paste it, and try it once again. Yes, we have successfully deployed the pipeline. We authenticated, got the JWT. So I think the mistake I did was that instead of 80, I think when I committed and copied it from here, the application.yml, when I copied it to the other location, some error happened. But anyway, we got the pipeline complete, and you can see the pipeline has been built successfully, and of course it happened. So now everything is working fine. This is CI/CD for you in Amazon. A recap. So I think you know by now what exactly we have done. We have used the code repository for the code commit as the service for code repository, and then we use the code build, even though it was a little bit involved, and then we use the elastic beanstalk to deploy our application, and the whole thing was done by the code pipeline. Hope this was a useful session. So that's all for the CICD. See you from the next video. Bye for now.